Welcome to The Productive Attorney. This is Jim Zeta. I'm your host. Today we are going to be talking about Marketing 101. And by that I mean Marketing 101, I mean just the basics. In future podcasts, I'm going to dig real deep into each one of these subjects. But if you're just starting out, you're an attorney, or you just want a kind of quick refresher and maybe get a couple tips, hopefully this podcast will help. As always, I start out with a war story, or I start out with a current event. Today I'm going to do a war story. For those of you who know me, and most of you don't, but those of you who know me, I am passionate about soccer. That is what I played my whole life. I played in high school, I played in college, I played amateur, and I still play. I'm currently playing on 3 teams. I've coached. I've done just about everything you can in it, and it's what I like. It's just something that is fun for me. I'm not crazy passionate like some of these English fans, but I do enjoy the sport and I really like playing it. So here in Fort Worth, I played for years on a team called Fort Worth Select. And Fort Worth Select, we were blessed to have some of the best players in the state that played with us. In fact, some in the country. We played in tournaments all across the country. And so that team, when we played locally in our local league, more often than not, we won the league. And there were actually seasons in which we were not scored on for the entire season, undefeated and unscored on. And so we were playing a team, and my team has players who've played, some are ex-pros, and we played against a team of local attorneys, and there was a federal judge, and we were better. And we were winning. Early in the game, we were playing okay. I got bumped a couple times by one of their defender, caught an elbow. Wasn't really happy with that. We went ahead and scored, and then we scored a second time. We were putting pressure on them, and the guy who bumped me, when I was running past after we scored the second goal, I was a little bit mad, and the red mist got to me, and I said, get ready for 90 minutes of hell. Because soccer games are 90 minutes, and we were going to make their life tough for 90 minutes. So the game went on, and as we were playing, we started getting way ahead, and by late in the second half, we were up, I think, 9 or 10 to nothing. And we had switched. Different players had switched to different positions. We even pulled our goalie out. We were just doing everything we can to make it funner for us and maybe funner for them by not putting too much pressure. So I was playing defense at that time. That's not my normal position. And they got behind us, and lo and behold, they scored a goal. They celebrated like they won the World Cup. And that defender, who I made fun of as he was running back after they'd scored, he leaned over to me and he said, 90 minutes of hell, bitch. And when he said that to me, I thought to myself, who is that? I got to have that guy on my team. And that guy turned out to be one of my best friends. We invited him over to come play with us, and our sons went to the same school and soon became close friends. We would room together when we traveled on trips. And so as an example of marketing, he does immigration work and criminal work, one of the best in Fort Worth, I think, one of the best in the state, the only board-certified Hispanic attorney doing criminal law in Tarrant County. And so he picks up personal injury cases, and we recently had signed up one this past week, a case in which an individual unfortunately was killed in an incident. That case that our office is going to have and hopefully get a great result and make money and generate income for everybody here is a direct result of me playing soccer 15 years ago. There's another story of a case he referred to me that I'll tell in another podcast, a 5-year case, 6-figure attorney's fees. Again, all related to just me doing what I'm doing and my passion. And that's the idea of marketing. The idea of marketing, in my opinion, one of the ways that you can get cases is by following your passion. So we'll talk about that. But first of all, what's the difference between marketing versus sales? That's the first thing I want to talk about. Marketing is going out and finding potential new clients. A lot of times you'll hear the word PNC, which means potential new client. Marketing is to go out and find those potential new clients and get them to come to you. In order to get those potential new clients, you have to identify them. So one of the first things you want to do is sit down and identify your ideal client. For us, it's a client that was severely injured in some sort of automobile or trucking accident, hasn't had any pre-existing conditions, no gap in treatment from the time of the incident, real property damage to their vehicle, real injuries, and there's insurance on both sides that can cover the damages in the case. That's our ideal potential new client. We have our logo is representing good people when bad things happen, and because we've been successful, we're very discerning about our clients. We are really careful not to get clients that cause a lot of trouble, and by that I mean clients who are have alcohol or drug abuse problems, clients that have certified mental illnesses, or clients that are just plain jerks. We stay away from those as much as we can, and we have the luxury of trying to determine those early and keeping them out. That's marketing. Sales is once the potential new client contacts you, is talking to them, selling your business, and getting them to want to hire you. So those are two different things. And so what we're talking about here today is not the sales part of it once you get the potential new client, but what's marketing. So I'm new. I start out, or I'm new, and I'm existing attorney. I'm just not getting business. What's the first step I do to get new business? The first step is as basic as you can get. Tell people what you do and ask them for the business. Simple. Who do you ask? Your family and your friends. You go out and you ask your family and friends for the work. So, for example, Thanksgiving's coming up. If I'm with my family and I have two brothers who are emergency room doctors, and I say to my brothers, hey Joe, hey Jafar, I'm looking for new business. If you all see any cases come up, personal injury cases that come up, or first party insurance, or even an employment case, think of me. And they're like, oh, I wish I would have been thinking about that. We had this guy come into the ER and really could have used some representation, and I just didn't put that in my head. Thanks for reminding me. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Tell them what you do. Ask them for the business. That's number one. Number two, and this is my opinion. This isn't something that's out there that everybody thinks. But number two is don't go out and do things just because you think it's going to get you business, but you're unhappy doing it. I'll give you an example just for me. I started going on nonprofit boards. I was asked as an attorney to be on the board of directors of nonprofits. I thought they wanted me for my expertise. I thought I could help the business for what they needed going forward. But what I came to understand was that nonprofit boards especially are not very efficient. The meetings are oftentimes a waste of time, and most of the time what they want you to do is raise money for the nonprofit. So you're asking those same friends and family that you want to get their business, you're asking them for money, and you have to be totally committed to that organization. And if you're just going into that organization to network and then you find out that this is what they want you to do, doesn't work. Now, on the other hand, if you are somebody who's wanting to get business and you need to be on a board of directors of a Fortune 500 company and you get asked for that, that's a totally different thing. And that may be your passion. You may want to be on that board of directors of a Fortune 500 company, look behind the curtain and see how they work. They also pay you for that, and there's a lot of stuff for that. But for me, I found out that wasn't for me. So what's my passion? Soccer, physical fitness. I did CrossFit for a while. I'm doing what my wife calls not real yoga. It's sculpting and heated yoga and pretty high intensity stuff. I've developed and met people within those communities and developed relationships in those communities and got some referrals that way. But for me, the biggest has been soccer. Playing on the teams that I played on, making the connections that I've made, people know what I do, and I get referrals going that way. I can trace 70% of my current business to soccer, directly or indirectly. And that's what I've done. Most people, when they go out, that's as far as they go. And honestly, for a long time, that's as far as I went. Told my friends and family what I did, pursued my passion, and the business came. Is that the most efficient? Is that what you do if you were trying to be the most productive attorney that you can? No. The way you do it is the third step, and that is create the marketing plan. And by create the marketing plan, there's really two aspects to it. The first aspect is brand awareness. Are you going to go out there and get your brand out there so that people know it, understand it, and trust it? When you look at Coca-Cola's brand, you get a feeling when you look at it. It's just sugar water. But when you look at Coca-Cola, you've got a feeling because they've spent billions of dollars getting that brand and getting you to get a feeling when you get that brand. That's what branding's about, and that's just an idea. You can go out and spend a lot of money on branding, and I've seen a lot of attorneys do it. They put their names out there, they put them on billboards, they put them other places. To me, that's one aspect of it, but you've got to have another aspect of it, and that is, how am I going to get people to call me? People may get a good feeling when they see my name, but they don't necessarily know what I do, and they don't take the next step of getting you to call. That second step, and once you get branding, is getting them to call. That's the more important step. So I want you to switch between those. So you get a plan and you put down the plan of how you're going to do it. Well, what are some of the things you put in that marketing plan? First of all, as I said in my last podcast on business plans, you need to have milestones. You need to have deadlines. We live as lawyers off of deadlines. You have to have deadlines. But the first thing you want to look at is just is networking. You need to get out there in the community. Soccer's an example, but you need to get out there in the community and network. There's bar organizations. There's any kind of world. There's millions of little worlds out there. I call them subcultures, not in a negative way, but you've got a culture, and then within that culture, you've got little subcultures within there. And I don't mean below you, but just they're out there, and you might have a passion for one. One of my sons, both of them are, but one of them's a heavy gamer. He's developed in one particular gaming area. He's developed a really strong network. That's his network. I have gamers as students. That's their networks. You have these little areas, these little pockets, tribes, if you will. You go ahead and what do you do when you get in that tribe? Go back to step one. Tell them who you are, tell them what you do, and ask for the business. And if you do that often enough and tap them on the shoulder, you can get there. What I call my strategy, it goes like this. If you're the best fisherman in the world and you go out on the lake and you throw one cast into the water, you've got a pretty good chance of catching a fish because you're a good fisherman, but you'll catch one fish. If you're an average fisherman, but you go out there and you put 1,000 hooks in the water, you're going to catch more than one. If you have 1,000 average fishermen putting 1,000 hooks in the water, you'll catch more than one fish. And that's what you need to be doing. You need to be putting 1,000 hooks in the water because you never know where that fish is going to come from. We got 4 new cases Thursday and Friday last week. 4 new cases from 4 totally different sources. Those are part of our 1,000 hooks in the water, and 4 of them caught a fish this past week. So how do you do that? Number one is networking. That's one of your 1,000 hooks in the water. Go to all your various tribes, tell them what you do, tap everybody on the shoulder. Second one I call real life, and that's more friends and family. That's more the grocery store. That's more just day-to-day real life. You get your elevator pitch down. If you see somebody in the elevator and they ask you what you do, that's something you do as well. Then you get into the more technical side, and that's the social media, the internet, and your website. And when you get into search engine optimization and all the things that are out there, that's a little more hocus pocus. And there's a lot of people out there in this hocus pocus world that take advantage of us lawyers not having a lot of knowledge and say, we'll put you number one in Google in your area for this particular, when somebody searches, they'll find you. That stuff, in my opinion, you have to really research it. I always ask those marketing people, even if I talk to them, and I very rarely do, but when I do talk to them, I say, show me all the people that you put number one and show me how you've done it. And invariably, they can't. They advertise that way, but they can't do what they say they're going to do. Finally, the last area of Marketing 101 is referrals. Getting business from other attorneys is huge. There are attorneys out there, especially like in my world where I pay a co-counsel fee, where people can just send me a case, they stay involved to stay in touch with the client, they stay involved to comply with all the ethical rules, but I do most of the work and my firm does most of the work. that is where we make a lot of money here and we send a lot of money out to attorneys based on referrals. You have to calculate that into your business plan. You have to understand financially what those referrals mean to you, because you can work a case, get a decent fee, but have to pay 25%, 33%, even 50% of that case out to some other attorney. You've got to be able to make that into your business plan and into your financial plan, but make sure that that's something you can work out. But that's a surefire way of getting additional business. So that's Marketing 101. That's just the basics. We'll go into all of the stuff, the networking, the real life, the social media. We'll have separate podcasts on each one of those, but this was just the basics. Thanks for listening. It's Jim Zeta from The Productive Attorney. Have a great day.